This is Game On, discussing the biggest games and all the latest sports news with Johnny Montalbano and Hank Indictor on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. Welcome to episode 45 of Game On the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. That's Hank Indictor. I'm Nick Morgasen. Boy, nope, Johnny didn't die or disappear. He's just working. He'll be back. I promise.
Oh, trust me, I know. I texted him about the Knicks. He's very much alive if he's excited about their 9-game winning streak. And, it's a big deal when even I'm rocking this hoodie. But that's a, story for another day. I got to at least mix in something Rangers,
I know you do.
2 Madison Square Garden teams. But anyways, Nick, how's it going, my friends?
I'm good, man. It's been an interesting week in the world of sports. Follow the show on social media at Game On ETB, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and follow the network at ETB Network. But we got a lot to get into. A lot of football. Unfortunately, NBA is going to take the headlines right off the bat. I know you love hearing that phrase, NBA taking headline, because me being...
Right off the bat. Good choice of words there.
Oh, yeah. Good point. I didn't even think about that. But, yeah. So, we're taking this show a little bit differently this week. You're not going to get as many stories this week. You're going to get more of expansion of a few stories this week, because some of them stole the headlines this week in a lot of ways. And we're going to get right into it, and we're going to talk about Ja Morant, because Ja Morant decided to go to a nightclub, I think in Colorado. Yeah, in Colorado. And on an Instagram live video of all places, he was dancing to music, whatever this BS. And he decided to wave a gun. Yeah, he waved a gun in the back of his Instagram live video. So, what's your first instinct when I tell you that?
Okay, immediately when I see this story, I'm getting PTSD from a certain event that happened, say, 15 years ago, pretty much, roughly.
Would you say the initials are PB?
Yes, and I'm still salty because I still believe that moment sabotaged their chance at repeating and cost the Giants what probably could have been a potential dynasty.
Let's just put it this way, PB and no J. You're welcome, America. I just did it for you. But yes, I know we're laughing now, but when we explain the story, you're not going to be laughing. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so he gets caught I shouldn't say caught. He, on his own accord, recorded on his Instagram Live and waved it like a napkin in the back of an Instagram Live video.
Or how about like a Pittsburgh Steelers fan waving those crazy looking terrible towels?
Oh, terrible towels. Yes.
Or me waving one of my many Rangers rally towels. And I'm going to bring that back on the show. You know it.
I know you are. And but this whole thing is bizarre, because I'm sure I've said this to you guys before, and I've said this on Empty the Bench. I've said this in a lot of places. Today's stars abuse their power and think they're above the law in a lot of ways. Would you agree or disagree?
I would have to agree. I mean, and what's worse is like there have been a lot of moments where like stars have had their things swept under the rug. Like I mean, we know what Kobe Bryant did all those years. I hate to bring up Kobe Bryant. I'm sorry, but like it kind of ties in, does it not? Because he was around, wasn't he around the same age as Ja Morant at the time where he was accused of the whole sexual assault in where was it? Aurora, Colorado.
Ironically, Colorado.
Yeah, and even though obviously he ended up getting out scot-free, there are a lot of people that still believe he did it. I don't really know for sure, but from what I understand, all signs point to the fact that he was guilty. And I think even Kobe later on may have acknowledged that he was guilty. But, again, that's an example of superstars, abusing their power. And I'll give you another example. There have been many instances where Jason Kidd had stuff where that he got away with. Didn't he do domestic shit when he was still a superstar with your back then New Jersey Nets?
Yes, supposedly, yes. He committed some domestic violence
And
had allegations against him behind the scenes.
oh, and I haven't even gotten into the Karl Malone stuff.
Oh, well, I did a whole rant on that a couple was that 2 weeks ago now right after the All-Star break, where for most people who didn't know that kind of got swept under the rug during the All-Star break because he was honored by the Jazz at the All-Star break. And someone, I don't remember who, but someone dropped the story that Karl Malone, when he was 20 years old, got a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old pregnant.
Well, I'd known that before, but it was it resurfaced.
It kind of resurfaced. It kind of went away. No one knew. And then someone decided to bring it back, which is kind of a sucky thing to do. Like when someone's looking for headlines.
Still, though,
it's disgusting. Yeah.
And also, I didn't even mention Kevin Johnson. You've heard of him, right? Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
One of the more underrated players in NBA history, and a guy you could probably argue should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's more known for for some disgusting things he did to young women, and it continued even when he got elected mayor of Sacramento too.
Which people try to ignore that he was in politics also. You could say the same thing about Charles Barkley. How many horrible things has Charles Barkley done? But he's the most beloved TV analyst on TNT and in the NBA.
You know what's ironic though? Wasn't it him who said the phrase "I'm not a role model"?
Yes, that was him. He said, "I'm not here to be a role model. I'm here to do a job and make money." Essentially.
I mean, technically, he was right in the sense that, if kids are looking to athletes as their main role model, then that's on the parents. But at the same time, the way he went about that message, that I would consider to be a personal foul.
You know what? Good one. But I was going to say, there are some athletes that can be role models. Now, you and I grew up with one with our favorite team for about 20 years. If you know who I'm referring to.
Would you be talking about Derek Sanderson Jeter?
I mean, maybe not towards the end after his career. He might have done some things, but...
Yeah, but they were nothing compared to what we hear about with most NBA and NFL players.
Oh, right. He's never going to commit domestic violence. He's never going to shout and cause issues in the media. That was never his thing.
And I'll give you another example, a certain star goaltender that I grew up with for probably who I've watched for say 15 years. And the current goaltender too, Igor. I mean, if the worst thing about Igor is that sometimes he doesn't always talk to the media, can't be that bad.
No, it can't be that bad. I mean, there are...
You ever hear about sex scandals in hockey, with the possible exception of the Brad Aldrich, Kyle Beach story.
Right. And you know what? Morant will learn from this situation where he got suspended for 2 games, by the way, which pissed me off. And because now there's a story out there that he was carrying the gun through stadiums, through arenas, like a la Gilbert Arenas style with the Wizards. And they're saying that he could get suspended for 50 games. Can you imagine? That's a big star for them in the NBA. I mean, that's why they only suspended him 2 games.
Can I say it?
Yes.
Good old Adam Silver.
Oh, wait. I got one better.
It's an Adam Silver. Yes.
But yeah, so this story is bizarre. This story is out there. Do I think he got enough suspension for waving a gun in a nightclub? No. He got 2 games and he basically got away with, dare I say it, murder. I hate it. It's a bad choice of words, but it's the situation we're in. These athletes get away with everything. Everything.
And in the NBA, it's probably more common than a lot of leagues, besides maybe the NFL.
Yes, but I would say the NFL has way more domestic violence issues.
Yes.
Than the NBA does. Don't get me wrong. If John Morant could get back on track, he basically is taking a hiatus away from the team to figure out his situation. Then hopefully, whether it's therapy, whether it's whatever it is, people were saying that his circle of people, like we know these star athletes have their circle that they travel with. And sometimes those are not the best influences, if you know what I mean. I mean, I don't know. In the hockey circles, do they travel with a circle of people like they do with every other league, or no?
Not necessarily.
Okay,
Probably, but
I don't know. It's weird. It's interesting to me. The NBA is the only one that travel in packs. They travel in packs. They travel around with like
they
their
travel on a private jet with their own team, obviously.
right. But I'm saying is sometimes they're traveling around with bad influences, and that's the problem here.
No, I don't usually see NHL players like travel with bad influences. That's kind of rare.
Right. And we've seen more guns in the NBA. We've seen more drugs, more guns, more violence in the NBA lately than the NFL. And I never thought I'd say those words. The NFL is, and I hate to say this because this is might be in horrible taste, but they're the king of domestic violence in the NFL, where it's their issue. No one is beating them. Okay, that's a bad choice of words too. But my point is, Ja has got to figure his life out. And is he going to go down the path of, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to spiral out of control and do more of these issues? Or is he going to get his life back on track? He signed I think a large contract, if I'm not mistaken, with the Grizzlies. I'm looking that up. But he's a really good player. He's 23 years old. And he's going to throw it all away. See. So he signed a 4-year, almost $40 million contract. I don't know if that's with the new one or the old one. Let me see. So yeah, so he's under a 4-year, $40 million contract right now. He's making $10 million a year. This guy could get a max contract. That's how good he is. That's how great of an athlete this guy is. So I hope that he figures it out, and the NBA suspending him 2 games is the sign. Oh, he's a star. We can't lose him. We'll lose all our money if we suspend him for a long period of time. Can't have that. Can't have that. You can tell I'm already riled up about this.
Well, I mean, I know it drives you nuts whenever like a superstar does this, and whenever he essentially, well, actually, come to think of it, this could be the Lilo Brancato of the NBA, because you know what happened to Lilo Brancato.
Yes, I do.
And you know what's bitterly ironic about the Lilo Brancato incident? Remember what was said in the movie Bronx Tale by Robert De Niro's character?
I don't remember off the top of my head. What did he say?
Saddest thing in life, son, is wasted talent.
Yes. Okay, now I do remember that line. And it's true. If Ja doesn't figure this out, he could be a wasted talent here.
And you know what's sad? For every moment of NBA stars getting away with said incidents, there are also just as many stories of NBA players who have wasted their talent.
It's true. And I can think of quite a few off the top of my head, but we would need another
David
3
Thompson.
hours. Who?
David Thompson,
Oh, yeah.
Skywalker,
Yes.
nose
Yep.
candies.
But I'm saying I could spend 3 hours telling you about wasted talents or ones that wasted all their money. The NBA is also a sport where they make all this money and then they blow it all. Like that, the NBA is famous for that.
Cough, cough, Allen Iverson.
Cough, cough, Antoine Walker.
God, Antoine Walker. I forgot about that guy.
That guy made close to $200 million and basically blew it all away.
So else blew a lot of money away, but it didn't really affect him. Michael Jordan.
Well, when you have a shoe brand that's what worth a few billion, I don't think he cares. Well, I mean, he owns the worst team in the NBA, and he doesn't seem to care. All right, let's move around here. We'll do a few NFL stories, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. We're going to try to keep this kind of short. All right, let's get into the news that is driving me crazy. So, former Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr has agreed to a 4-year contract with the Saints.
Can I do that new line that I feel like you should find a way to soundbite?
Which one?
My, where did you get all that money? As the old man said to Kevin in Home Alone 2.
Yes, that's a good line, actually.
Did you like the line that I used in my short video about it, which you can find on the Review and Preview Sports YouTube channel? Sorry for that.
No, it's okay. No, it's such a. What did you say though? Because I might have missed that one line.
I was like, "Is it?" I said something along these lines. Is it possible that Mickey Loomis may have stolen a bit of money from the mattress that AJ Preller uses?
That's great. That's really good.
Or is it possible that AJ Preller just he and AJ Preller are good buddies and they just share it around?
It sounds like a Mr. Krabs reference where he hides the money under his under his bed because he doesn't trust the bank. I mean, it's a classic moment. Hey, Mr. Krabs, why don't you put your money in the bank? I don't trust the bank, so I'm just going to put it under my mattress. And my favorite part of that, I guess since we're already down this road, I'll finish it, is when SpongeBob goes to clean out Mr. Krabs' house and picks up the mattress and gets rid of it. It's like, where's my mattress? Oh, I got you a new one. My money was in there. God.
So dumb.
I mean, if you're still hiding your money in a mattress, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, and as far as the Saints go, I mean, look, there's no question they need to upgrade a quarterback. Am I wrong?
They needed one in the worst way.
And, you know, automatically, they now have the best quarterback in the NFC South. I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh about it. Because now you have what? Kyle Trask, Sam Darnold, and who am I missing? The Panthers,
Which team? Which team are you trying to figure out?
Here's Kyle Trask, Sam Darnold, the last team in the NFC South. Who
did you do the Bucks?
I did say the Bucks. Kyle Trask. Sam
Kyle
Darnold.
Trask. Was it the Bears?
No, that's the North.
That was the North.
I was going to say the Bears.
Colts?
No, that's AFC.
God damn it. I'm looking this up. Hold on.
Oh, Falcons. Duh.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And they're rumored to want to make a deal to get Lamar Jackson.
And I was going to say the less said about the Falcons quarterbacks, the better.
It's just really funny, though, because like the only
even my buddy Noah Dabler could vouch for me on that.
Yeah, I mean, and the only thing when I saw this and I saw the money, which we'll get into in a second, but first I was like, "Holy Toledo!"
So, in other words, sorry if I went on that tangent with my little laugh attack about
you're good.
Or being the best quarterback in the division, which he unfortunately is. But even though he improved, you got yourself your quarterback, and also he's reunited with Dennis Allen, who coached him when he was with the Raiders, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's right. But
But
yeah,
with Alvin Kamara's legal issues, with all the other money that they've allocated, yeah, great. You got your quarterback. Now, how are you going to build your team around him? In other words, there are other teams that Derek Carr could have joined. Instead of taking the boat, he took the mystery box.
I was waiting. That line is so perfect for this too. Like you couldn't make a more perfect reference for Derek Carr in this situation with a mystery box. I mean, like, just again, I have to do it again because I couldn't believe it. Holy money! Like 4 years, supposedly 150 million, 60 million on the when he signs on the dotted line, guaranteed. When did Derek Carr become 150 million dollars worth to somebody?
Well, see, here's my hypothesis for that. We know what the NFL is. It's a quarterback's league. And, I hate to say this, but regardless of which team he went to, they weren't just going to give him like a cheapo deal. Like the league is essentially centered around a quarterback. So that's about like what the growing rate for an NFL quarterback is, so to speak. That being said, is it smart to give that amount of money to a quarterback like Derek Carr?
No. Hell no.
I'm just playing devil's advocate and telling you that, like,
yeah,
there's a certain growing rate for quarterbacks, and that's what each team is trying to build around. But
right, no, you're absolutely right. It's just that
the problem is Derek Carr is, very good at best, not elite, very good.
I mean, I hate to say this name because he just got released, but do you remember when Carson Wentz was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL at one point?
Well, I mean, to be fair, he did have that really good year, but at the same time,
I'm just saying, like, it's
paying him the money off of that one amazing year when he really didn't do much afterwards.
Right. And that's what's so crazy. Like, now people are saying, like, oh, he can hold a clipboard. Well, they don't hold clipboards anymore. They hold Microsoft Surfaces on the bench. But
still using clipboard terminology.
Yeah. But Carson Wentz was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL at one point. And I think he was a number 1 overall pick, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, Jared Goff was picked number 1 in that draft.
Oh, was that Goff?
He was taken number 2.
Got it. Okay. But he was high draft pick, so that's why he got all that money.
Both of them traded up to get the quarterbacks that year.
I don't think anyone's trading up this year. I'll put it that way. But Derek Carr, I think, made a mistake. He went for the money, not the accolades. I don't know. I mean, I'm a little frustrated now as a 0.000000001 Jet fan right now.
Zeros.
Yeah, well, that's the slightest. I'm on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm hanging off the side of the cliff. I'm literally hanging off the side of the cliff right now with the Jets, and I was watching this to see, will the Jets actually do something smart for their fans, or will they fall off a cliff?
Also, shout out to the 5 More Minutes mom, because I'm sure they'll know what I'm referencing.
Yes.
Cliffhanger, hanging from a cliff. And that's why he's called Cliffhanger. Can't hold on much longer.
I remember that.
I think brownie points if you can identify what show I was just referencing.
I mean, I've heard it, but I'm trying to remember the name of the show. I've heard it so many times.
It was a PBS Kids show that I watched, like, say 20 years ago when I was like having trouble coloring inside the lines and eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch on a daily basis.
What was the name of the show? I can't remember now.
Between the Lines.
Oh, got it. Okay. I do remember that show, though. Don't ask me why I remember that show, but I
Who knew
do.
I could just randomly like incorporate a '90s show into like our ETB?
Hey, it's fine with
It
me.
just
I
came
lo-
off.
I lo- I love the '90s stuff.
Well, I mean, we were pretty much born in the same era. Like
Yeah,
I know you're a couple years older than I am, but we pretty much grew up in the same era, did we not?
yeah, we did totally.
Yeah.
But to put a bow kind of on Derek Carr, and the next story kind of well, I tried to pick stories that were kind of tied together this week because they kind of were. But I think Derek Carr made a mistake. Obviously, $150 million is nice. Is New Orleans a great place to live, except for the hurricanes? Yes. Is the food, for the most part, good down there? Yes. You like seafood? Go live in New Orleans. But if Alvin Kamara is going to be in the clink, as I was saying to Hank earlier, um, who do they have? They have nobody. And Michael Thomas is a shell of himself.
Oh, slant boy.
Yes. I mean, what is Michael Thomas now? He's a zero, right? Essentially.
Yeah, the only reason he's still on the Saints is because of all that money that they're paying him. Or there's a certain term I could use, but I don't know if that term would really work at this point because it's not. That would imply that they fired him.
Yeah, you can't use severance. He didn't get fired, or
No,
they didn't let him go.
it's inevitable.
It's inevitable, but yes. But this leads me to a whole nother thing before we get to the last story in this show. But now that Derek Carr is off the board, does this mean that the Jets are going to get Aaron Rodgers? Or
I'll believe that he's staying with the pack when I see him all of a sudden decide I'm going to stay in Green Bay. But it looks to me like they're going to move on and go to Jordan Love. Not that either decision is necessarily great by any means, but it just smells like a move that the New York Jetropolitans would make, does it not?
it does. But here's the thing: the Jets have screwed up for what would you say, 40-something years?
No, more like 50 plus something years.
Well, or like since they made a legitimate run, I would say about 40, 50 years, right? And
Yeah, more like a half century.
so it's just I feel like they didn't get Derek Carr, they're not going to get Aaron Rodgers. Are they going to go get Ryan Tannehill? I'm going to be pissed if they get Ryan Tannehill when they could have had Derek Carr or, dare I say it, Mr. Darkness, Aaron Rodgers.
Speaking of Jet quarterbacks, did you see the contract that Geno signed?
No, what did he sign for?
3 years, 105 million.
What? What? I'm sorry, what?
Again, I'm not surprised that quarterbacks like him are being overpaid because, like I said, you don't just find quarterbacks on trees. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. Everything you're saying is accurate.
But would I give a quarterback like Geno Smith a 3-year, $105 million contract? If I were, let me put it this way: if I told you that was a good idea, I think you would probably encourage me to go get drug tested.
Well, one, I would say this.
Stay off the weed.
That's what I would say. If you told me, if you told me that, if I was an owner of a team and my general manager said, "Oh, I gave Geno 3 years, $105 million," I'd say, "Get off the weed." Don't get me wrong, Geno had a good year. He had a good year, but is he 3 years, $105 million worthy? I don't know.
I mean, they're gonna. Excuse me. They're gonna find like their long-term franchise at some point. Like that's why they only gave him 3 years. But at that at the same time, he's taking up kind of a fraction of the salary cap.
Yep.
And the same thing is happening to Derek Carr. And because you're wasting a bit of the salary cap on him, you cannot build a functioning team around him. I mean, you can win the division. I mean, that's like that's like getting the best grade in like a terrible class full of like F students. But once you play the big boys in the playoffs,
different story.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Knicks over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Like they play good during the regular season at times, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, they're going to make a run!" And then they get pummeled and flattened in the playoffs.
Well, the only year where that literally was the case was probably, say, 21, the first post-bubble year, because the years before that they didn't even have a playoff run between that one random 50-win season with Melo where they actually won a playoff series against the Celtics until the post-pandemic.
Yeah, that was a totally different Celtics team from now.
And this New York team, like this Knicks team, you could actually like make a case could win a playoff series, because I think they're a much better coach team, and they're a more fundamentally sound Knicks. Excuse me, they're a more fundamentally sound Knicks team than in years past. Now, do I think they're going all the way to the finals this year? Probably not, but I do like what Josh Hart has brought to the table. That's for sure.
No, he's been a really good addition to that team.
And I do love that they were able to pull out a win in Boston without Jalen Brunson.
Yes. No, that was major.
I do think maybe they might be able to attract a star eventually with the way they're playing.
I hope so, because the Knicks need it in the worst way. But I digress. Let's just finish this topic up. Good move or bad move for Derek Carr?
The answer is a resounding bad move.
Okay. Yeah, you and I are on the same page on this one. That the Jets, and this is rare. Even as a Jet fan, I'm saying
this is the move that's going to lead to Mickey Loomis getting fired. You know that.
Probably, yes.
That or he might have to resign. I mean, he's been their GM for a long time. He's made good moves in the past, but like lately, he's made some real head scratchers, shall we say.
Well, and I have to feel bad for him because he's dealing with the Alvin Kamara situation and dealing with that nonsense and dealing with him breaking someone's nose, which...
Okay, well, that was bad. That's not his fault.
No, I'm saying, like, that's a tough one, because that's your star, and I don't know what's happened with that. I think he got suspended 6 games, maybe. But, so, what do you want me to do? You want me to give you a consolation clap? Oh, good job! You got a quarterback! Yay! Like... Is that what they're looking for from us?
Also, how do we even know the Saints are going to win the division even with Derek Carr?
They're not. I don't think they will. What has Derek Carr proven in 8 or 9 years with the Raiders? Do we know?
Do you know how many playoff games he's won?
0, right?
0.0.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And had he started that 1 year that he did really well when he was injured, that win would have probably come with an asterisk, because he would have played, I want to say, Brock Osweiler and the Houston Texans. So
talk about someone who's now at ESPN calling college football games now.
You know who did start that game? Connor Cook.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Oh my God.
Connor Cook was the one who ended up losing to Brock Osweiler.
Oops. But yeah, you and I are on the same page. Bad move by Derek Carr. Now, let's be fair. New York is a tough place to function and play in. You and I know that from being fans here in the big state. That some players just can't handle it. Some players can't handle it. Some athletes just don't want to deal with that pressure of the media coming after you 24/7. There's one name that actually stands out to me, and you've probably heard this before. Do you remember Greg Maddux, who they were trying to get Greg Maddux? Greg Maddux said, "I didn't want to deal with New York."
Yes. Was it the Yankees that he didn't want to sign with, or
Yeah,
was it?
I think he didn't want to sign with the Yankees. He
Well,
said,
I can't imagine him even wanting to go to the Mets, unlike Tom Glavine.
right. Well, he said, "I don't want to deal with any of the pressures in New York." Essentially, is what he said.
Makes sense.
I don't blame them. New York's a tough place to play. Even when the team is good or bad, it's a tough place to play in. So
Yeah, I can. That makes sense. And at the end of the day, we didn't really need him. We still won 4 World Series without him.
right. So
Didn't necessarily need him. You still had Andy Pettitte. You still had David Cohn, who I was going to say maybe we don't even get David Cohn if we get Greg Maddux.
right, and
Butterfly effect. So
it worked out. But Derek Carr, I think, could have handled New York better than. Well, let's put it this way: a snail could have handled New York better than Zach Wilson at this point. I mean, like Zach Wilson's going to end up out of the league, in my opinion. Like, I don't know why they're still holding on. The only reason they're holding on to him is because he was a second overall pick. That's the only reason why they're holding on to him.
Well, yeah, and essentially, if they cut him now, they'd be admitting their mistake. But then again, problem is, look at how many other mistakes Joe Douglas made.
Was he responsible for the Sam Darnold snafu or no?
I believe that was Joe Douglas. I'm not 100% sure.
God, then he struck out on quarterbacks multiple times. If that's the case,
that was either him or McCagnon.
That might have been McCagnon. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Well, either way, like the fact that they're possibly going through another quarterback.
I mean, like I don't know.
I'll tell you where he did strike out on Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, you're right. That was a real unfortunate situation. But all right, let's move around. We'll do one more story here. These are kind of connected. So the Ravens have been in the news with their. We're recording this and it's coming out on deadline day for this. Baltimore Ravens will go to deadline to try and get long-term deal done with Lamar Jackson. Now, a lot of news going on out there, whether they're going to give him the exclusive franchise tag or the non-exclusive franchise tag. Now, do you know the difference between the two? Because I had to go look this up.
No.
So the exclusive franchise tag means that he put a lock on him. He can't go anywhere. That's what an exclusive franchise tag means. A non-exclusive franchise tag means that anyone can put a trade on the table or offer. Actually, let me rephrase it. You can offer him a contract, but you have to give up 2 first-round picks to get him away from the Ravens. So that's the difference between the two tags. Now, you know this. We've talked about this on both shows. Lamar Jackson wants a fully guaranteed contract.
Yes.
Now, we all know who to blame for that.
Mm-hmm.
A certain quarterback that we all want out of the NFL because he faked out everybody and then did horrible domestic violence things or assault things. But Deshaun Watson screwed up everyone else's contracts. And when you give a quarterback $330 million guaranteed, do you blame Lamar Jackson for wanting a fully guaranteed contract?
No.
Now, you could say that Lamar has been hurt the last 2 years, and they could make that argument. But here's what happens. How bad does the team become if Lamar Jackson ends up somewhere else?
Oh, they're going to get worse. And they don't even have like a great set of wide receivers either.
I mean, and Tyler Huntley's not the answer. Sorry, just telling the facts here.
Oh, you mean as your name tree would call him imitation Lamar?
Yes. Yeah, imitation Lamar. Right.
That's like getting the Chinese knockoff version.
Right. But I look like I said, and you said, the wide receiver situation down in Baltimore is horrible. It's bad. They have nothing, zero. And if you don't have Lamar, you might as well throw away your team for the next 2 to 3 years, at least. Right?
And it begs the question: why on earth would that guy from Georgia even want to leave there and go to the Ravens as the offensive coordinator?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I know I know I can picture his face. I can't think of his name.
Todd Modkin? That's a Georgia offensive coordinator. Is that who you said?
Yeah, I know Noah was pretty upset about him going.
Yeah, Todd Monken. That's interesting. I don't know why he would leave Georgia.
And don't get me wrong, he seems like a really smart offensive coordinator, no?
He is. And well, hey, he was in Georgia for a long period of time. That goes to
But
show you.
you're leaving that to go to an NFL team that could be on the decline and might not even keep their star quarterback.
I mean, they should have. And by the way, most people are not referring to this either. They didn't ask Lamar, or like they didn't ask Lamar if that was okay as an offensive coordinator. Oops.
I mean, again, on the surface, it's not a bad move, but
but if you want your quarterback to stay, you got to do what he wants.
Yeah, it's a no. Oops.
So
Oops is right.
So you got an offensive coordinator. You did what you needed. You didn't ask Lamar. Okay. I mean, technically Lamar's not under contract, so they could do whatever they. Well, actually, let me take that back. Is he under contract? I don't know. He's up for a franchise tag, but don't get me wrong. He's gonna make a lot of money regardless. But if they franchise
about
the money, but if he gets franchise tagged, he's sitting out, and he'll sit out the whole year.
Not good.
You think he would sit out the whole year?
I doubt it. I think eventually he's going to want to play. If he sits out the whole year, that's essentially career suicide.
Deshaun Watson did it.
That's my point.
No, but I'm saying people forget that before the whole domestic violence situations or sexual assault situations, that he sat out for a year because of his contract situation.
No, I know. And it very well could be career suicide.
You're right. And Lamar is younger, I think, than Deshaun was at that point when he sat out for the year. So,
and I can only imagine he probably would learn that lesson, or at least one would hope. No,
I mean, he's got to look at the Deshaun Watson situation and say, "Hey, I need to keep playing. Figure this out. Give me a 1-year deal. Give me a 2-year deal. Do something." Now, I know for quarterbacks, it's a whole different mumbo jumbo they deal with. Like, it's not like baseball where you give someone a 1-year contract and then you can come back next off season. You can sign a long-term deal. The NFL, it's a totally different. With salary cap rules and all that stuff, they have to be very careful with the money. So it's either you sign them long-term or you don't. So
what does the Pope call it?
What?
It's the league where they play the pay.
Oh man, I miss him on the radio. Even though I hated him, I loved the dumb sayings that Francesa would say.
Wait a second, Alex, Java.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Oh, God, I do that too well.
Andy Pettit is a starting pitcher.
Andy Pettit's a starting pitcher. Pitcher, not pitcher. Pitcher.
Hughes is a starter.
Hughes is a starter. God.
With my horses.
It's all about the horses.
Yes.
Why do I feel like someone's going to get mad at me during this episode with all the Mike Francesa impersonations?
Yeah, I do it all the time. It's okay.
I like it too. I can't believe he's doing a podcast for a gambling company now. Man. But that's about it. This was a little bit of a shorter episode, trying to keep it to the headlines. We both spoke to Johnny. Johnny is off next week, so he's going to be here. So we can finally have him back.
Yes.
We need him back. Oh, especially with March Madness coming back.
Oh my gosh, he's the perfect person to talk college basketball with.
I mean, he sent some notes. I know, like, he sent it in our Slack chat. Like, I'm trying to pull them up quickly because he sent me a note. And of course, it's not open. I think it's 68 teams. They expanded the March Madness bracket this year, which was kind of interesting. Up here it is. Let's see. Selection Sunday is March 12th. 68 team field for the men's and women's. And the brackets will be released at 6 and 8 p.m. on Sunday, March 12th. Okay. By the way, are we just going to keep expanding this until every school plays in March Madness? It is one of the best songs. Would you say this or the NBA on TNT is better?
Actually, I like Round Ball Rock better.
Which one? Yes. That's an older one though, right?
That was like used in the 90s and the 2000s.
Was that the old NBA on NBC one?
Yes.
Damn.
Actually,
wow.
Want to know what's even better?
What?
Google the NBA on CBS in the 80s.
I saw that one. Yeah, I saw that one. There were some great themes. I know we're going off on a tangent here, but there were some great themes. March Madness one is great. NBA on TNT is great. Even the ESPN NBA one is pretty good. But you can't beat March Madness. When you hear the March Madness theme, and like I said, it's going to be here before we know it.
And you're going to get earworm with that song for the next like few weeks.
Few weeks? Try like a little over a month. Like, and did you see who the new leading voice is of March Madness?
Who?
It's Fly Eagle Fly.
Ian?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good choice. I like him.
Because Nance stepped down from being the head voice.
It's not going to be the same without him. He was good.
Him and, oh God, who was the color analyst? The guy who called the Nets back in the day. I can't remember. But, Raftery. Bill Raftery. That was one of the best.
Confused with the late game show host, Bill Raftery.
Right.
Card Sharks, and then the second version of Blockbusters.
We got to get you on either 5 More Minutes, Mom, or we got to get you on the Hearst Show.
Yeah, you can see that I have a tendency to be able to expand my brand.
I think you'd be good
to branch out beyond sports a little bit.
You would definitely be good. But all right, that just about does it for episode 45. Holy cow, 45 episodes.
But it's not a day that I have Ranger tickets.
Right. But follow the show on social media at GameOnETB, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow the Empty the Bench Podcast Network at ETB Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Follow him at RangerHanky96. Follow me at Morgasen Radio. Johnny should be back next week, hopefully, because from what he told me, he was off for vacation for a second week, so we should see him. So, Hank, this was fun. I think we had a good time, whether it was sports or just palling around in the world of pop culture.
Oh, always.
So, I guess that just about does it. You guys will be back hopefully for 46. I'll be back behind the scenes watching the show. And that's it. For Hank Indictor, I'm Nick Morgasen. See everybody next week.